when you say what is the actor's responsibility is to do what the prop armorer tells him to do.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. In that interview on ABC on the 3rd of December, you heard Alec Baldwin being asked about the actor's responsibility. And I'm sure the actor does have responsibilities, but he was also the producer. What are the producer's responsibilities? And I think we've also got to look at this in context. What are Alec Baldwin's responsibilities usually? In other words, slow it down. What is Alec Baldwin's response ability, his ability to respond normally in everyday situations? And how do they reflect on this incident that happened on October 21st? That's something we're going to delve into in this episode. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do like, share, leave a comment, and let's get started.
Is to do what the prop armorer tells him to do.
So it sounds very cut and dried. It sounds very simple. What Alec Baldwin needed to do on the set was do as he was told, right? And so what Alec Baldwin also needs to do after this incident in terms of the police investigation isn't it the same thing. He should do what he's told, right? That's his responsibility. Do you agree? Do you agree that he should do as he's told? And what has been told quite recently is to hand over his phone. Well, has he done as he's told? Now, there was a headline yesterday, I think it's from the 17th of December. Alec Baldwin leaves New York City home carrying phone investigators want to search over deadly rush shooting. Now, although that's the headline, I don't know if they know that for a fact. He was carrying a phone. I don't know whether it's the phone that the investigators need to search. It could be a replacement phone. But I do think the issue raises an interesting question. If it is the phone that investigators are looking for, and Alec Baldwin is leaving his phone to go elsewhere, is he not honoring what is being asked of him? So a warrant has been issued, he knows it. Has he handed his phone over? And what I'm trying to deal with in this episode is the hypothesis, because we don't know this for a fact, the possibility that he hasn't handed over his phone. And if that is the case, then it's kind of flies in the face of what he said in that ABC interview, that his responsibility is to do as he's told. And I want to take that into the present situation, the present circumstances, and then refer it back to the film set. And so we've got to ask, in terms of the present circumstances, is Alec Baldwin the kind of guy that does as he's told? Has he been cooperating thus far with the investigation? And think about the assistant director. Has he been cooperating? Now, we've already seen a legal expert saying, only handing over your phone once a warrant is issued, that is not cooperating, right? But I also want you to look at the video from the New York Post, and I'll put a link to that in the description, where you see a reporter approaching Alec Baldwin, and I'm sure he's absolutely justified in being aggravated and being annoyed. But I think it's a little bit different feeling those feelings and actually acting out on them, and sort of saying to the reporter and sort of almost, I won't say ambushing him, but sort of rushing him. And he did the same thing with another New York Post reporter who was recording outside Woody Allen's home. He sort of almost charged the guy, almost like a mock charge.
You need to back up, guy. You need to back up. Don't get too close to my car.
So I wasn't on set. Many of us weren't. There were people who were on set, and we're getting different stories from different people who were on set. Some people saying that it was Little House on the Prairie, and others saying it was chaotic and unsafe, right? And so if you take some of these incidents that have been playing out afterwards, the assertive approach, to put it mildly. So in this case, you have him turning around and going towards the photographer and also saying, don't scratch my car, kind of thing. It is quite confrontational. And what I think is worth considering here is what is Alec Baldwin like on a film set with people that he doesn't really know. I'm talking about the sort of grunts, the sort of low-level kind of employees, the ordinary staff on the film set. What is he like when he's around them, right? And I think that also could apply to the cinematographer and also the armorer. You have the 24-year-old armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. How did he request things from her? How did he talk to her, right? And I don't necessarily want to be looking at it from the perspective of Alec Baldwin is difficult to work with or anything like that. I want to look at it from the perspective of what was it like for other people to work with him? Was it a stressful environment? Was it less stressful than with other actors, or more stressful, or was it the same? Was Alec Baldwin the kind of actor that Hannah felt comfortable with? Could she just be herself with him, or did he keep her on her toes, and almost like he has with this New York Post reporter? Did he have a sort of a brusque manner in a way? It's an important question because it also comes back to what he said right in the beginning about an actor's job is to do as he's told. And here you have Alec Baldwin telling other people around him what to do. Don't come close to my car, etc., etc. When he's on set, does he mind being told what to do? And is he the kind of personality who wants to be told what to do, exactly what to do? Again, coming back to this idea, is he a passive person? Is he a cooperative person? Is he cooperating with the investigation? And I think that we can draw two possible insights from this footage from the New York Post. And just as a kind of an aside, there's a scene in Spider-Man No Way Home when Spidey and Doctor Strange are fighting and the magician gets Spider-Man to kind of snare himself. Spider-Man shoots a web and it kind of goes through one of those holes. And what the magician achieves is Spider-Man kind of flinging a web onto himself, into sort of both sides, in front of him and behind him. And it's kind of in other words, he's entangling himself, snaring himself. It's sort of kind of difficult to explain if you haven't seen it. But what I'm trying to get at is it feels like Alec Baldwin is in a similar predicament. He appears to be packing up and leaving home. And is it like no way home for him as well? Even though there's a warrant that has been issued for his phone. So the question is he taking his phone with him? Or is this a different phone? And it could well be a different phone. Watching the video at the link provided, Baldwin warns the photographer to stay back and also warns him not to scratch his vehicle. And so in this respect, I want to pose two questions based around this particular interaction. The first is, how did Baldwin treat the Rust crew? Was it ever anything like the way he treats the paparazzi or the media? Is the way Baldwin treats this paparazzo any indication of how he might treat folks he doesn't know that were on set working for him? One really gets the sense that Baldwin is assertive of almost reaching the point of being quite pushy and even aggressive. Did this make other crew members anxious on set? Were they jumpy and nervous and pushed for time? And did this lead to mistakes? Is this the chaos that has been mentioned? Or is Baldwin a perfect gentleman when filming, just as he appeared in the ABC interview? In other words, what we're really saying is, which is the real Alec Baldwin, right? The second thing is, was Baldwin cooperative and easy to work with, or was he demanding, right? So in the scene in the church and in other scenes and generally, was Baldwin a easygoing fellow or was he difficult to work with? And, what is your impression? Is he easygoing or difficult to work with? Once again, you've got to know who is the real Alec Baldwin. I think one can also say, as Baldwin generally cooperated with the current investigation, do you think the cops should have been pleased or gave him the thumbs up to go on to ABC to state his case before their investigation was complete? In terms of his cell phone, it certainly appears that he hasn't been terribly cooperative thus far. It would be good to get the facts on this. Has he handed over his phone or not? Yes or no? In a scenario like a police investigation where there are a lot of moving parts, and here I want to draw a comparison between a police investigation and a production, a movie production, all the activities going on a film set, right? There are a lot of players in both scenarios. Even in terms of a police investigation, there are actors, there are a lot of cogs and gears, there are people with various roles. And the question is, has Baldwin facilitated things, or has he actually interfered with things? Has he been, and then you take that same question into the film set and say, has he facilitated the movie or has he interfered with it? Was the revisions to the script something that Baldwin ordered? Was that something that came from him? Where did it come from? Has he been easy to work with in terms of the investigation, or has he been difficult and demanding? And then the same thing in terms of the set. Whatever the answers are to those questions, the same could apply to the set. If the crew, and this is the bottom line though, if the crew were particularly anxious because of a particular personality, this could have caused certain young, inexperienced crew members to rush, to panic, to make mistakes, such as possibly not checking that last round. It's just a theory, but what do you think? Does it make sense? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.